Well, the funny thing about the 95 theses is that probably the majority of them were packing material that we had to put in there in order to get to 95, which we chose because that happened to work for Martin Luther. I kind of wonder if he was doing the same thing when he wrote his. The most relevant, I think, still are two that come to mind. One is the original one, Markets and Conversations, the number one, the very first one. And number 7, which is Hyperlinks Subvert Hierarchy. I think both of those have had a lot of traction in the marketplace. I think people have taken those to heart. Well, here's the thing about markets being relationships. We've been talking about relationships for a long time. Customer relationship management, pretty much invented by Siebel as a concept back in the 90s, is now a $15 billion business, and that's only if you count the software and services that are being sold. So we've been talking about relationships for a long time. The question is whether or not we really have them. Am I in a relationship with a company just because they have my name in a database, just because they send me email, or just because I carry what they very, I think, misleadingly call a loyalty card? Does that mean I have a relationship with them? That's not really the case. I think we're going to have much more formal systems by which individuals outside the company can reach individuals inside the company, make their needs known, drive the supply side better from the demand side than we have the ability to do now. So the statement markets or relationships is predicated to some degree on the assumption that we're going to have tools for that we don't have right now, but we will. It's important to remember it's really early right now. What I like to say is that in terms of the internet coming along, which changed everything and is still changing everything, it's 3 minutes after the Big Bang, and we have a lot of heat and a few light elements and no galaxies. And we're going to get the galaxies, we're going to get the heavy elements, and we're going to get new life forms developing, but right now it's still very early. What this allows us to do is experiment. So something that is, and a lot of companies are doing this already, is start to formalize the following of the conversation in the marketplace about what the company is up to. For any large company and for many small companies as well, the level of conversation going on about them that's exposed on blogs, in Twitter, in Facebook, and other places like that, is getting richer all the time and can be followed rather closely and also can be participated in. But in the meantime, the best thing any company can do is experiment all they can, be really open to what's going on out there, be very open to what employees are doing inside the company already. Well, vendor relationship management is a term that was created, the abbreviation is VRM, as a reciprocal for customer relationship management. Customer relationship management is this $15 billion business. It's probably the average of several different estimates on the size of the marketplace, by which companies manage their relationships with their own customers. An assumption behind CRM is that there are only two parties here. There's the company and there's the customer, and that there's no other company here. For the customer, it's quite different. The customer has many different suppliers, and they would like common ways of relating to many of those different suppliers. For example, being able to change their address one time for all of them. What we want to do with VRM is have the customer equipped with the ability to say, these are my terms, and oh, by the way, I'm trustworthy, my credit's good, my history's good with you, here's what I know about our history. There are many things that the customer can bring to a dialogue, can bring to a relationship that are much more rich and informative than what a CRM system as we understand it today can alone comprehend. There's trust when you go into a restaurant and you give them your credit card and you think that a fraudulent activity is not going to take place subsequently because you gave away some of your identity. We don't have that yet on the web. You have to become a member of some stores in order to buy there. In fact, all stores as far as I know. There's a lot more friction in some ways involved in dealing in the retail landscape on the web than there is in the everyday world, even if you have to walk around in the everyday world. Most of what we have to sign in the web world are expressions of mistrust, so that we can only have trust based on coercion or signing of onerous agreements. I think that's going to change, and it's going to end, and it's going to be altered by the growth of choice about tools on the user side, where the user starts saying, or the customer starts saying, here's how I'm trusting you. Here are the terms that I'm bringing to the relationship. Here are the ways that I already like you and respect what you're doing, even if you don't know who I am. Here are the ways that we can engage that'll be good for both of us. And I think we're going to see leadership on this taking place from individuals for the simple reason that individuals understand in their bones what trust really means. We have that with friends. We have that with relatives. We don't have that yet. We don't have that kind of granularity, that opportunity on the net yet, because it's still early and the tools are still crude or absent.